Good morning. Thank you all for being here on this hot Philly day. We're here to announce a new step in the city's efforts to recover delinquent taxes. I'd like to thank the mayor and Councilman Domb for their continued support of collection efforts. I'd also like to thank the vast majority of Philadelphians that pay their taxes on time. Less than $1 out of every $10 bill becomes delinquent. We have collected more than $100 million each year in delinquent real estate taxes for the last few years. But with $185 million in taxes left unpaid when due, we need to utilize every collection tool available to us. We share Councilman Domb and the mayor's vision of trying new approaches to collections and have piloted and launched several new enforcement initiatives in the last 2 years. One was sequestration, where we place income-producing properties in receivership. We also did 2 lien sales focused on commercial and vacant residential properties last year in 2015. And we're also placing liens on properties located outside of Philadelphia. These are liens on outside of Philadelphia properties owned by people who own properties in Philadelphia that are delinquent. We learned a lot from our pilot lien sales last year and from discussions with the National Tax Lien Association. One thing we learned is that there are various models for lien sales. To make sure that our lien sale program is designed to maximize revenues and increase collections well above the $100 million a year we already collect, we are issuing a request for proposals that will ask firms to propose and execute the best model for our tax lien sales. We're looking for firms with an array of experience in different communities to share their expertise and recommendations. And now I'm happy to turn it over to Brad Westover, Executive Vice President of the National Tax Lien Association, to talk more about the results of the tax lien study they conducted last month.
My name is Brad Westover from the National Tax Lien Association, the Executive Director. I am actually living proof that there's an association for everything in America. I applaud the city for spending such considerable time and energy exploring ways to obtain reliable funds in order to provide quality public education for children and for other municipal services. Part of my responsibilities, I travel around the country assisting local governments collect delinquent property taxes and assisting them in understanding different means in which to do so. I have to tell you, there's 2 shining stars that the city of Philadelphia has, and that's Commissioner Breslin and Councilman Domb, that have taken this initiative seriously, have spent a lot of time with me and understanding at conferences and otherwise understanding the gravity of the issue and the importance of obviously taking care of the city and its citizens, and I'd like to thank them publicly. A brighter future for Philadelphia begins with properly funding our children's education. That's what this is all about. Nationally, $4 billion a year go unpaid in property taxes, and those that suffer the most is our children and public schools, which is where the lion's share of property taxes go. Nationally, most larger cities in America have adopted annual programs. Just to name a few: Atlanta and Chicago and Denver, Indianapolis, Miami, Newark, Phoenix, and New York City, just to name a handful. As Commissioner Breslin stated, Philadelphia's delinquent taxes equate to approximately $185 million a year in lost revenue to fund these crucial services. And we were asked to conduct a study to look at what New York City does, a tax lien securitization, and model that for Philadelphia. And before I tell you the results for what we believe would happen to the city of Philadelphia, let me tell you the situation in 1996 in New York City. New York City had $2 billion in uncollected property taxes. The delinquent taxes were on the rise of 5%. The city had become the largest landholder and obviously didn't have the staff to support property management and the issues that come along with such an endeavor and such a problem. When the city implemented their tax lien securitization in 1996, They collected in on-time collections an additional $1.55 billion in year one that were uncollected previously. And then through the tax lien securitization, they collected another $1.07 billion. And then prior to tax foreclosure, they collected another $317 million. So what does that mean for the city of Philadelphia? It means that the implementation of such a program would raise $90 million to $120 million in year one. Additionally, going forward, we'd be somewhere between $25 to $40 million, we estimate, on subsequent years. So where are we at? The city will now vet this and all other options as in regards to delinquent property tax collections through an RFP process, and they will select an approach that meets the city's expectations while safeguarding those that need some protections, some hardship cases for the low income, the elderly, the disabled, and veterans. It's important to note that delinquent taxpayers will all be notified of payment options, including payment plans, prior to the implementation of any program. Our research shows over the years, the NTLA was formed in 1997, and over the course of our research and over that time, across the country, national average for those that lose their properties to tax foreclosure is 0.05%. So 99.5% of taxpayers pay eventually and do not change hands relative to their property. And that is a little bit about the research that we've conducted. I'd like to now turn the time over to Councilman Domb to discuss about why he thinks such an important avenue is important for the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad, for all that work, and council, you and the National Tax Lien Association have provided us here in Philadelphia. Thank you. And Commissioner Breslin, I certainly appreciate your ongoing efforts and the support you've given me over these last few months. Really do appreciate that, and your staff. I look forward to working with you as we continue this important issue. Thank you. Mayor Kenney, really appreciate it. I think today's bigger than tax liens. I think this is about government putting in efficiencies under your administration and making sure that we have strong, efficient government and we do the right thing. And this is the right thing. So I think I applaud you and your staff. I want to call out Jim Engler, who's standing over there, because this is the guy who shuttles back and forth all the time and does a lot of work, and I thank you for that, Jim. Council President Clarke, great mentor for me, and I really appreciate your leadership and your guidance in this effort, and I really appreciate our friendship too. So thank you very much. Thank you. You know, today's an important day for two reasons for me. One, I'll be very honest, is that my mother 2 weeks ago gave me these cufflinks that my father wore in 1950 when they got married. My father passed away in October, and she found them in his drawer and gave them to me. And I decided that today would be the first day I'd wear them, because today is, to me, my father would love the fact that we're making efficiencies in government. And moving forward with this process, collecting delinquent taxes, for those of you who know me, has been a top priority as a member of City Council, and I'm eager to begin this process. The RFP the city plans to issue today will provide the city the opportunity to review and evaluate the best strategies that will help equip our government with the means necessary to better collect the money that's owed us. For some time now, probably more than I'd like to admit, I think it's 3 years, I've been researching and learning about delinquent tax collections and the various methods nationwide. As Commissioner Breslin mentioned, the National Tax Lien Association, also known as NTLA, has been an extremely helpful resource throughout this process. At our request and under the direction of Brad Westover, NTLA completed a feasibility study about what a securitization tax lien solution would look like for Philadelphia. Here's a quick snapshot of that report. Philadelphia currently has $492 million in unpaid property taxes from approximately 90,000 accounts. If the city were to use a tax lien securitization, as Brad pointed out, we could anticipate in collecting 30 to 40% of the unpaid taxes as a result of this effort. Utilizing securitization, this report will show $90 to $120 million in year one, and thereafter we could collect $25 to $40 million. And I want to be specific about where the goal is for this money, and that is for pensions. We need the money for pensions. And Rob DeBoe will agree with that, right, Rob? So this is really all about pensions. But I'll tell you something else that we should be aware of. Roughly 92% of our population pays their taxes. And when I was campaigning, everyone said to me, what are you doing about the delinquents? This is what we're doing now under Mayor Kenney. We're addressing the 8% who don't pay their taxes. And you should know something. The 8% who don't pay their taxes, 40% don't live in Philadelphia. And Herb Wetzel gave me that number. 40% don't live in Philadelphia. 50 to 60% are investment and commercial property owners. So we're doing today the right thing by collecting the delinquent taxes, because when you don't collect the delinquent taxes, the 92% of us who pay their taxes are paying for those who don't. This is the right thing. Anyway, securitization is the same method that New York City implemented in the mid-1990s, enabling them to increase their delinquent tax collection rates dramatically. Today they're at 98.5%. They're still using that method today. And based on the overwhelming success seen in other cities and the findings revealed in the NTLA report, my hope is that as a result of this RFP, the city will receive qualified submissions from established servicers that prefer the securitization method, and that those submissions are given serious consideration. It's also important to note that doing this is huge for our bond rating agencies. They will love this. They've responded favorably to the solution of tax lien securitization as a means to increase bond ratings, which would only strengthen our city's financial standing and capabilities. We owe it to the taxpayers of this city who play by the rules to clean up our books. We owe it to ourselves, the city government, to prove we can be a fiscally responsible and efficient enterprise. When companies continue to do business with us, and we can offer a healthier city that can thrive and grow. And it's time for us to collect these delinquent taxes. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to the mayor of our city, Mayor Jim Kenney.
Obviously, all the people clapping pay their taxes on time. I'd like to thank Councilman Domb for his work on this effort. He has been laser-focused and unrelenting in this regard, and I think it's very important that he has been. It's very helpful to have someone with his background in business leadership bring a fresh perspective to financial issues like tax delinquency, which has been an issue for the city for far too long. And I'm confident that through his continued partnership and the array of proposals we'll get back from this RFP, we will find a tax lien model that maximizes our collections while still assisting seniors and low-income residents who may have fallen behind their real estate taxes and need a little guidance to get back on track. I do want to make sure I stress the fact that this is not about grandmom getting behind in her taxes in South Philadelphia, North Philadelphia, West Philadelphia. I can assure you that Council President Clarke and members of council would never allow any of that to happen. We're going after folks who basically just thumb their nose at us, who live in other cities, who have large numbers of properties, who don't pay their taxes. And it's really important that this happen, because I think people are frustrated when they play by, as Alan said, play by the rules. And they realize that other people just get away with what they get away with. So I think it's bringing a method of fairness back here and some sense and also money that can go towards defeasing our pension obligations, and I think it's really, really important. And I'm really glad that Councilman Domb was elected to get here and to continue to force this issue and effort, and I'm really happy for him and his work. And I'd like to now turn it over to Council President Clarke for a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, everyone. You know, when people come to these different jobs and they're at different levels of preparation, you know, I like to consider myself in the top rungs of the most prepared person to take a council person job. But Alan, you're like right behind us, you know, you never work for an elected official, but you understand how things work and how things should work, which is most important. So I obviously want to commend you. I want to commend, first of all, the staff of the city of Philadelphia for all the years that they've done what they needed to do. I mean, they have a very difficult job. They're in the face of taxpayers. They're at the ground level making sure that people pay their taxes, having to deal with the difficult challenges of determining who actually can pay and who can't. And I want to commend them for all their hard work. And I want to commend the mayor. The mayor has shown, and we kind of knew this was going to happen, the willingness and the commitment to work with council on council ideas. Too often, it's, you know, some people say, well, I'm the only one that has good ideas. And the mayor has shown, he understands that there's other people that have good ideas, and his commitment has been, as he said earlier, laser focused on making sure that we have this collaborative approach to government. So, Mayor, I want to thank you for keeping your commitment on that. My colleague, so we have now moved into the second phase of the constant drumbeat of Councilman Domb. So the first phase was earned income tax credit. That's all he talked about up there, right? It's like every time there was a speech on the part of the majority, button press, right? And I knew what he was going to talk about, but he was right, because we were leaving too much money on the table. And Councilman, I want to thank you so much for working very hard to ensure that we got the message out, because there's money from the federal government that doesn't cost these taxpayers the opportunity. And kind of right next to that was this whole issue about the efficiencies. And you, as the mayor says, have been laser focused. Sometimes we see you come and we say, here's Allan come talking about tax collections, right? We kind of duck in the elevator. But you're right, Allan. You are absolutely right. Our ability to look at an opportunity as not being the first approach to government, which is traditionally raising people's taxes, but making sure that people pay a fair share of taxes. We want to have an equitable government, and as both you and the mayor have said, we understand that there may be some challenges for some people, and I kind of like this New York model about creating the trust that will allow us to put forth various programs to ensure that this is not, like the mayor said, going after grandmom, but going after people who can genuinely pay. I remember during AVI, we were looking at those maps, and people didn't pay their taxes in the city of Philadelphia, and we got the Google Maps, and we showed that they actually had mansions in Jersey and other places throughout the region. So I guess we're coming one way or another. Mayor, I want to thank you and your team for working on putting together this RFP process so we can start moving towards ensuring that we get the appropriate revenue to make sure that our city continues to run efficiently and equitably. So I want to thank you all so much, and thank you, Allan, thank you for your consistency.
Any questions? Frank, you want to come up?
We would expect within the next few weeks, we'll start receiving, the RFP will be out, we'll start receiving questions. Within approximately a month or so, we'll start getting proposals in. We'll review those proposals and have a vendor selected in September. That's the anticipated time frame. And work to begin probably around January.
Yes.
The lien sale, the last lien sale was done in December.
Frank, stay here.
Another administration agreed to remove from the list vacant parcels.
Right.
Vacant land parcels. Out of concern that many of them are uncollectible, and selling those liens would tie up the land bank's ability to assemble properties and do what land banks supposed to do. Have you given some thought to the categories of properties that will or will not be included in this lien sale?
Yeah, let me help with some of the nuances. So tax lien securitization in New York City works collaboratively with their land bank. So they're not excluded, not all of them, but they're included. And if the land bank has particular earmarked projects, they're pulled from the securitization and dealt with accordingly on a one-off basis.
Okay.
I'd say absolutely, for sure, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks, Council President. Thank you, Councilman Domb and Frank and everyone else. So thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yesterday you talked about cardinals and not a cardinal. The Archbishop. Sorry, my Catholic school education is a little